Rounding.
Yeah.
And you know me.
I mean,
rounding is my primary means of talking.
It doesn't matter because he was a large man.
If you don't have any toilet paper, then we are out of toilet paper.
I have much toilet paper. Why do I have so much?
Did we burn through faster? I've been extra bowely lately, so maybe I burned through it faster than the normal rate.
It's only like a week into the month.
Yeah, it does feel like this is the time for the toilet paper to arrive. All right, well, we're streaming. We're good to go. The internet can see us? Okay. I'll just start. Start with hockey, I guess. It's Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, Battletech, the video game. The new one. Not any of the old Battletech games.
2018.
Not the one on the SNES.
People use
Not MechWarrior.
Okay. People use years to tell different things apart that have the same name.
Yeah, I do that in the title.
When has there ever been like a Doom and then the same year also Doom? Just they call it the exact same, right? Or they might be like Doom video game and Doom board game, but then you can just say what, you know.
Yeah, very rare is doesn't matter
There's
that
not
much.
Battletech and Battletech in the same year.
Yeah. So, Stanley Cup playoffs are happening, and it's still weird to me. This is the first time in my entire sentient life that no team I cared about was in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, there were some years where the Red Wings got eliminated in the first round, but they were always there. And the first year in a long time that they were not in the playoffs, because I think they set a record for most consecutive playoff occurrences in the modern, like, not original six era, because in the original six era, 4 teams made it to the playoffs out of 6. And it was the same 4 almost every year. But not counting the Challenge Cup era for obvious reasons. But just as the Red Wings for the first time didn't make it, I'd been living in New York for like a decade, and the Rangers are in the playoffs.
So there was a screenshot someone showed from, I guess, a shot from one of the games recently.
Yep.
I think a Lightning game. And it was like players with most playoff appearances in the past X years.
Ooh.
And it was just like a little corner graphic, and almost everyone on that list was a New York Ranger until very recently.
So I guess
it was like Girardi, McDonough, Hagelin. It's like,
well, to your point, it's
but 0 cups. But
yeah, a lot of that's why it's.
It was most playoff game appearances. So going deep got you more on that list.
I'm very conflicted now because on one hand, I just wanted no Pennsylvania team to still be in the playoffs, and we
have succeeded at this.
The Capitals, Pennsylvania's the bottom right corner, and they're gone.
The asshole, they put all their stupid balls in the football.
Yep.
And fuck them, but well, it's passed.
And on one hand, I don't like Tampa because they have historically been a team that has knocked teams I care about out of the playoffs. But on the other hand, it's basically the Tampa Rangers at this point.
It is the 2015 New York Rangers of Florida.
Yep.
2015 Florida Rangers.
And as I forgot until you reminded me, Rangers get a conditional draft pick.
Right, so there is a conditional draft pick where if Tampa wins the Cup this year, I think, or maybe even next year, then they have a draft pick that already belongs to the Rangers, but that draft pick will move from the second round to the first round if Tampa wins. And, of course, if Tampa wins, it would be the last pick in the first round. But last pick in the first round is still a few picks better than, last pick, like close to last pick in the second round, right?
Yep.
That's a big move up if Tampa wins. So,
but on the other hand, that upper left quadrant of like the Predators and the Jets, I don't really watch those teams or know about them. I don't really care that much.
Well, because, unlike the other sporting leagues, it's like, you don't see if you're in the Hockey East, you don't see the West too much.
Yep.
You see like the West like 1 game a year per team.
But I think in the end, I'm still rooting for the Vegas Golden Knights. And the reasons are pretty simple. One, if they win, they will be fucking insufferable. There will be an entire year of batting 1,000.
That's
We've
right.
won every Stanley Cup we've been up for. Came in and taught you hockey kids how to play.
Yeah. It's just like when Rim plays a game for the first time and wins.
Dude,
I'm undefeated in this game.
Yeah. My pro move is to learn a degenerate baby strategy for a first-time game and never play it again.
I know you can say this. So if you were the Golden Knights, you would stop playing hockey after this.
Yeah, just retire the team. Like, we're done. 100% Stanley Cups.
Close the arena we built. We're done.
So it'll anger the most people.
No, it doesn't anger me.
Yeah, I just think it'll be really
I don't know
funny.
why people are upset.
People like Don Cherry will probably be furious.
Isn't he always mad?
Yeah, I think he'd be madder. I think he'd be really mad about this.
Who cares?
So I've been watching.
What's the difference if like they win or like the Jets win? What's the difference? You know, the Nashville Predators aren't a very old team. What if they win? Is not what they're allowed. You know. Who cares?
But it's just, so the reason I bring this up, because at Zenkaikon, kind of one of my panels, I talked about this, and I've been talking about this a lot lately. I think the Vegas Golden Knights are doing so well specifically because of the structure of the expansion draft.
Yes, this is not a thing you think. This is a thing that is well known.
But game design is Tuesday GeekNights. So the deal is, if you don't pay attention to hockey,
the expansion draft was structured in such a way, and the owner and the GM of the Golden Knights
milked it.
They made deals before the draft even happened to sort everything out.
Yep.
So that they basically, it wasn't an expansion draft, because usually when there's an expansion in sports, you have multiple teams coming in. Here was just one team being added.
Yeah.
And they basically, it wasn't a draft, it was a looting. They looted all the other teams.
Every team could protect like a small number of people. So this is a hockey team that could not get any superstars, but could otherwise get pretty much anyone they wanted and design their team. It's like the difference between, here's the analogy, in Dungeons & Dragons 3rd and 4th edition, if you play a character from level 1 to level 10, you're going to make a lot of compromises along the way because of sunk cost and situations and everything, and you build this thing organically.
You can explain it much simpler than that. It's like you're playing El Grande, and you can't get first place anywhere. You just automatically get second place everywhere. You win.
Yep.
You get the most points.
Yep.
The end.
But if you make a D&D character level 10 from the beginning, you craft that perfect specialty option from the beginning and ignore all the history. So, we'll see what happens in the hockeys. But there is much more important news, at least for me.
This isn't the biggest news.
It is for me because the Steam controller is garbage.
Well,
I said it.
So the Steam controller is kind of, I mean, it has good parts and bad
Well,
parts.
it has two good parts, the left paddle button, the right paddle button.
But, yeah, the Steam controller is not the controller of choice, I think, for pretty much anyone.
There's a reason why.
And there's a reason why they're in the discount bin.
There's a reason why my Steam controller ran out of battery. Because there wasn't even a battery in it anymore.
The Xbox controller,
notice.
at least the Xbox 360 controller, is still great. I haven't used an Xbone controller. I'm sure it's just fine. Except the D-pad on it is meh, but otherwise just fine. If you don't need the D-pad.
Yeah.
The D-pad is serviceable, but not great.
Yeah.
The PlayStation controller, a lot of people love those.
Fart noise.
The only reason I do not like them is because the D-pad on them, while functional, has separation. I mean, I know that it's still underneath a solid D-pad, but it has this plastic cross so that you can't really touch all of that D-pad. It's effectively like these 4 separate buttons, sort of.
And it offends my sensibilities.
Even though it works better than the Xbox One, it is unusable for me.
Well, that's it. It offends our old grognardy sensibilities.
But the rest of the controller is just fine.
I have a much more fundamental beef with the PlayStation controller. I never really had PlayStations, and during the Soul Calibur era, Soul Calibur 2, I used the GameCube controller.
Right. Well,
and then when I had to use a PlayStation controller...
The GameCube controller is basically perfect, except for the fact that it's kind of weird and doesn't really match well with games that use a normal shape controller.
Except for Soul Calibur 2, where it matched better than any other controller.
Sure.
Because of the whole horizontal vertical attack thing.
Right, anyway. So now you've got the Switch Pro controller. And the Switch Pro controller is basically perfect, except it does not have analog buttons on the top. It only, the throttly ones. It only has 4 regular buttons on the top.
But to be fair, I haven't played a game in a long time.
Does it only have 2 regular buttons on the top?
I don't remember.
I don't even remember. The point is, it doesn't have the throttles, like, the analog levers for L2 and R2.
Name a game that needs that.
Any racing game.
Name a game that needs that you play.
I play F-Zero will come.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens if F-Zero comes on the Switch.
Mario Kart doesn't have it when it could.
Yeah, it could now, because Mario Kart's a whole different ballgame.
I'm just saying.
Mario Kart, there are exactly 2 settings. Your gas is going all the time, or you have lost.
I'm just saying. There are racing games where you want to have that analog throttle.
I know, and I'm just saying, name a racing game you have played, I don't know, in the last decade.
F-Zero.
When did you last play F-Zero?
Definitely since
2008?
2008, yeah.
Since 2008, you've played F-Zero?
Definitely since then, I've played F-Zero GX.
All right. Anyway. But this is a big deal for me, partly because...
Oh, but yeah, the news is that Steam is now officially supporting the Switch Pro controller, which means you can now use it with your HD PC, and you can get rid of your Xbox controllers that you had just because you
Yep.
wanted. Yeah, but the thing is, the Switch Pro controller is more expensive. I'm not like throwing out my Xbox controllers. The
No,
other thing
you
is,
know what's gonna happen.
it's
Remember when you were a
annoying
kid?
to switch. It's a switch. It's annoying to swap the Pro controller between your Switch and your PC.
Yeah.
So and buying more of them would be expensive. So I'm not gonna probably do this unless like I really need to get an.
I am going to buy one more Pro controller to plug into my main PC, not my HD PC, because I play a lot of games here, and I don't want to have to keep repairing the Xbox controllers in the other room in here on this PC. And I don't want to use the fucking Steam controller because I have a very low opinion of it.
You know what game needs those analog levers that I have played definitely within the last decade? Rocket League.
Oh, yep.
Actually, the Steam controller is the only thing I use.
Wait, how does Rocket League work on the Switch?
Not as good.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played Rocket League on the Switch. I actually used the Steam controller when I played Rocket League, and actually
I did too because
that
those
was
paddle
the
buttons
one.
were so good.
It was like actually good for that.
The paddle buttons I used for my juking around. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
that was actually better, slightly better than the Xbox controller in some ways for that one game.
Yep. Man, just Steam.
Why can't someone just make a Switch Pro controller with some analog levers on it, and then I can throw away every other controller and buy 5 of those,
Yep, that would be worth the investment.
and then never buy another controller again?
Frankly, I should just get USB converters, start using old GameCube controllers.
I mean, the Switch Pro controller is USB-C.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that it's getting official support is a big deal because
I have a USB converter that can take 4 GameCube controllers at once.
there was a time in my life when I was very willing to hack and fiddle with things, but I don't got time for that shit. I am too old to like install a special driver to make a weird thing work on my computer.
Nope.
So, in some other news, I played 2 games at Zenkaikon.
So it's not news, it's Geek Bites.
It's 2 Geek Bites, really light
2?
Geek Bites.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to talk about these 2 games because there is a thread. They are both designed by Cole Werle.
You can't even pronounce the person's name.
I don't know. But these are 2 games that I don't know if you will like, but you seem to want to play. And
I don't know. I don't know any more
they're
information.
similar in some regard. John
Well,
Company
they're made by the same person.
and an Infamous Traffic.
Well, I've heard of the John Company.
So an Infamous Traffic is the same person and similar concept. So the idea of an Infamous Traffic, or both these games, are that there is a historical, socioeconomic, or power structure of some kind. Like the opium. An Infamous Traffic is about the opium trade.
Oh, great.
And yeah, these games are interesting.
So it's based on the car of the present day.
Yeah. Especially because I might argue that the area around Lancaster is the ground zero of the current opioid epidemic.
Quite.
And
It sounds right.
I will say that jokes about Pennsylvania and Lancaster in the course of playing this game in Lancaster were, shall we say, abundant. As were people who appeared to be. There's a mechanic in this game called opportunity, which basically means, are there people who want opium in this area?
Yes.
And I think that there were a lot of opportunities in the area where this convention is. But John Company, and I realized got to know this, is about the British East India Company. And if you don't know, most people, I realized, have a middle school social studies knowledge of what the East India Company did. Don't really know. Both of these games.
I mean, I know what it did. I just didn't know the one fact that you just told me, which is that the name of it was not.
What did it do?
The East India Company.
What did it do?
Completely controlled all trade between Britain and all these colonies and all these other places and such and such.
It's actually way more complicated than that. It was basically its own sovereign government / megacorp.
Yep.
And it had its own armies, multiple of them,
Its own boats.
that invaded and conquered India on its own, not without necessarily having permission to do so. But anyway, these games are basically very nuanced and shockingly accurate simulations of how these 2 things functioned from the perspective of the people who were driving them. So you basically, in both cases, play a shitty white dude in Britain who has, and your victory points, what you actually do to win the games, are analogous to the actual motivations of those people, which came down to bullshit around social standing and getting your relatives into comfortable positions. But as a result, so in John Company, you're doing things like get someone in your family to be the executive in this part of the East India Company who's responsible for something. And all the players get relatives in all these different places. And if you have a relative who's like in charge of procurement or in charge of the Second Presidency Army, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You're in charge of that. And you all have to work together to make sure the company doesn't just go bankrupt while simultaneously trying to achieve your goals. And basically these games are some of the most, like, if I were a teacher in a high school, I would make kids play these games to learn about these concepts rather than read a history book. That is how high an opinion I have on the history and function of these games. However, I do not know if they're necessarily enjoyable, nor do I know if you will like them. But I like them, and I'm going to step that back. I appreciate them, and I want to play them again. I am not sure if I like them. But I appreciate them, and kind of like with Quartermaster General, I just want to play them again, and I just always want to play them again.
It's weird how I like Quartermaster General,
but it doesn't matter because you are banned.
When it's bullshit.
You are banned from Quartermaster General.
I don't know why you guys are against just slightly editing that game.
This is why you are banned from Quartermaster General. You think we're joking? You are banned from this game for life.
Why don't we just edit it slightly? What's your problem?
Because none of us want that.
Why don't you want that?
Because the game as it is exactly what we want.
Then why do you want garbage? That's so close to perfection yet so far.
This is why I don't know what your opinion will be of John Company. I don't know if you're gonna do the Quartermaster General thing or if you're gonna be into it. All I know is that we got to play this game so we can do a show on it. And I'm sure we will accomplish this at a coming PAX. And in case anyone didn't know, Scott is legit banned from the game of Quartermaster General.
I don't know
henceforth
why you guys...
and in perpetuity. And you laugh, but you are banned. There's no way.
That game would just be so good. I don't know why you guys are so obstinate about making it good.
Because it already is so good.
No, it's not.
It'd be like saying, you know what we really need to do to fix Battletech? No small lasers and no jump jets. Because they're bullshit. And no lookup tables.
No, it would be bullshit if you had dice that were like all ones with like 1/6 on one of the dice.
But that's how it feels when you play real Battletech anyway.
No, it's not.
It's always just miss, miss, glancing blow to center torso.
Battletech is 2d6.
Yep, 2d6, 2d6, 2d6.
It's not like, a D that always rolls a 1 and then a D with 5 1s and a 6 on it.
So we got one last little news that isn't really gaming related, but you got to see this shit.
No, this is I was just sending this to you because you need to see it.
Oh, you don't want to talk about it today?
This is for Monday.
All right, we'll save it for Monday.
Otherwise, on Monday, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Never mind. You don't get to learn about this today.
What are you gonna do on Monday? You're not gonna have nothing.
Nah.
I paid someone to fold all the clothes.
All right. But anyway, things of the day. So I am a fan of Rube Goldberg machines. When I was a kid, in middle school and high school, I competed in the
Rube Goldberg machines have probably been things of the day more often than any other category of things.
Yep, but kind of like it's one of those rules where, like a steamed hams edit, where you can't just use these things as things of the day unless there's some unique thing about this one.
I mean, I'm sure there's like a Rube Goldberg community. We could make a whole podcast about Rube Goldberg machines only.
There probably is an entire podcast. But this Rube Goldberg machine is particularly fascinating because it breaks some of the tropes of Rube Goldberg machines, and it also surprised me at several junctures in terms of how it functioned. And it was subtle, kind of like our friend Luke, the juggler, who makes points about how a juggling routine can be made funny through intrinsic properties of juggling and good stagecraft. There are some extremely well-crafted visual jokes in this Rube Goldberg machine, and I do not even want to spoil them. You just need to watch it, and all I want to say is keep an eye on that laptop.
Okay.
This Rube Goldberg machine is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It is on the level of that slow-motion Rube Goldberg machine that OK Go did. In terms of how much I enjoyed watching it.
I like the Rube Goldberg, the Japanese kids one that tells the story.
Oh, the story? Oh, what was that called? A Balls Adventure something?
Something like that.
I forget what that was. Anyway, what do you got?
So it's just a tweet, but the tweet had a funny video in it It looks like it's Japanese, of course. Basically, two dudes in pink bodysuit things. They're on some bicycle. And this bicycle is interesting, and that is a tandem bicycle. Yet, one of the seats, the rear seat, is facing backwards. So one person's facing forward and one person's facing backwards. And they're riding on this sort of side of the road with a Jersey barrier next to them. And on the other side of the Jersey barrier is a legit pro bike race happening, and the peloton is right there, and they're biking ahead of the peloton. And I guess one person is watching the race because they're facing backwards.
It looks like bikers threw something at them at one point.
I don't know. And the other
there's very clearly this moment where something gets thrown at them. Like, people don't seem happy about them being there.
I don't know, but the other person is just looking forward and biking and smiling. And then if you go to the next tweet and reply, you can actually see the bicycle up close and how the gearing works to make this thing possible.
It's cleverly done.
It's a hacked together, welded together mess, but it works. So
it's just watch it and appreciate it for what it is.
Mm-hmm. I like how the text in the tweet is pretty much just a bunch of W's and then some Japanese moon language characters.
All right. Let's go on in the chat and we'll do the meta moment.
How many sad people are in the chat?
There's like 8 people watching.
At least it's gone down. We're getting there.
Well, one, it's a Monday show.
We'll reach our goal of 0.
It's a Monday show.
It's a Tuesday show.
Oh, it is a Tuesday show. You're right. Thursdays get a lot of traffic for some reason. Anyway, I guess people like to experience the lounge.
Your mom in the lounge.
My mom likes to hang out in lounges. My mom watches this. She's been in here watching the stream before.
Is there nothing better to do?
She lives in Arizona, so.
There's nothing better to do?
In Arizona, probably not. She's getting the hell out.
That's a good idea. If a place is so boring that GeekNights is the most exciting thing, definitely get the hell out.
We should get your mom to watch the stream. Get both our moms in here.
Let's just have mom nights, and then we can go home and not watch because we've got something better to do.
There's an idea. Why don't we get when my mom visits New York City? Let's get your mom to come over here too, and let's have our moms do Geek Nights. We'll just set it up and let them go.
And then I'll go biking or something.
I think the listener would enjoy that. All right. In the meta moment, the book club book for the Geek Nights book club. If you didn't know we have a book club, is Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey. I assume Scott has read 0 more pages of this.
Good assumption.
All right.
I'm busy. I'm getting new furniture on Saturday. I had to take apart all the furniture in my apartment and throw it out.
I got a bunch of flights coming up because I'm going to be, not Scott and not Geek Nights, just me with Emily at TCAF this weekend in Toronto. So if you're in Toronto and you're going to be at TCAF.
What's TCAF?
It's basically a comic convention similar to like MoCA or SPX or Emerald City Comic Con. A lot of our friends will be there.
It's not Emerald City Comic Con. It's like a real Comic Con. It's not an indie show like
but there's a big indie presence there, and a lot of the same people go and actually have
New York
tables.
Comic Con has an indie presence in the Artist Alley too.
I specifically left New York Comic Con off that.
Emerald City is no different than like Heroes Con.
Emerald City has a way bigger indie presence than you realize.
So does every other Comic Con.
Not New York Comic Con.
Even San Diego does. You just don't see it in the news about San Diego because the news about San Diego doesn't cover it. But they have a giant and massive artist alley that has all the indie peoples in it.
Not all, because a lot of the people I know who go to these things, that like a lot.
There's a lot of indie people.
Yeah,
not all of them go to all the cons.
But there is a huge overlap between ECCC and SPX and TCAF. And that Venn diagram is tighter than a lot of the other clusters of conventions. But anyway, I'll be there hanging out. And otherwise, I'll just be dicking around in Toronto for the weekend. And this previous weekend, I was at Zenkaikon. We did 3 panels. So if you were here listening to this or watching the stream because you saw me at Zenkaikon, well, guess what? I posted notes and links and stuff. If you go to our website, a lot of people seem to find the YouTube channel can't quite make the leap from that channel to the fact that we actually have a website.
People don't use websites. It's 2018.
Yep.
They just go to, one place, like Twitter only or YouTube only.
It's extra sad, but I started putting links to our YouTube on our flyers instead of our website, and it increased the response rate heavily. So, whatever, we have a website, and if you go to that website, you can see, actually, a video of one of the panels I did from a different con, way more professional because it's the video from PAX. And Zenkaikon was super fun. And the funniest thing that happened was on the way home, there were all these teens who were on the train who went to Zenkaikon from New York City. And they were loud, and I overheard their conversation. And the conversation was basically these kids go to cons like you and I used to go to cons. They go to like every anime con. And they're
I
pretty...
guess where'd they get money from if they're teens?
Well, they're like teens, and a couple of them are like freshmen in college. And
So
they
then
go...
where do they get money from?
I don't know. They do the East Coast con circuit, cram 12 people into a hotel room like we used to.
All right.
But the funniest things were, one, someone brought up Otakon, and they all started laughing. They're like, yeah, who even fucking goes to Otakon anymore?
Yeah, well, Otakon moved and changed and such and
One
such.
of them went this year and was like, or the previous Otakon, and they were like, yeah, the panels are like way worse than Zenkaikon's panels. All the good people don't go anymore, and the convention center is a hole. And one of the other ones was like, yeah, Anime Boss is like the only anime con worth going to anymore. And then they basically were like, if you want to see panels, literally go to any con because no con has higher quality panels. But they don't go to gaming cons. They only go to anime cons. So in the estimation of this large group of teens, to summarize, Zenkaikon has the exact same level of quality of panels as every major anime con on the Eastern Seaboard. I don't know if that is speaking highly of Zenkaikon or speaking lowly of the Eastern Seaboard, but that is the information that I have from a large group of teens who are very loud over the course of 2.5 hours. I think we can skip the rest of the meta. Don't have anything big coming up. All right. Bop, 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 bop.
What's the weather tomorrow?
So, I have always, for a very long time, because I really enjoyed playing Battletech, which we reviewed on GeekNights a long time ago, apparently. I don't remember doing this. I really like tabletop Battletech. I really like rolling 2d6 over and over again and like this sort of squad-based combat and these really fiddly details.
Well, because Battletech, the pen and paper game, we actually did an episode on it super long ago. Back in the way early days of Geek Nights where we lived in Beacon.
Yep.
But pen and paper Battletech is a game where you can get all the joy of a miniatures game where, you know, on your turn you move and shoot and you roll dice to determine how much you hit and such.
But miniatures game in the like...
It is actually simpler and more comprehensible, and you dealing with less units and also giant robots.
Yep.
And you also get the fun of like instead of customizing like this whole army like Warhammer, you know, in each individual unit, you're actually just customizing like a couple giant robots, and it's pretty easy to do, you know, and it's fun to fill in little bubbles when you get hit, right? Like everything about it is like this sort of, it's sort of like this elegant system where you have a complex game that is easier to play than other games that are equally complex.
Yep.
Because it's just designed so nicely, and that is why Battletech has been around almost as long as I have lived. I think the game was invented in like 1984 or something like that.
But also,
and it's been around since then, and it's still around, and it's still big.
These games edge into war game territory and simulatory territory in that they're more like simulations and
simulations of this fictional galaxy universe, whatever you want to call it.
But in terms of they're kind of random and not that fair, and more like real world tactical decision making. Like you have to
it's not Gundam where these are like super powered robots of like holy god awesomeness.
This
right?
is more like
Battletech is slow and dumpy robots that go like that are huge and go ka-chunk.
Like situations
pew,
like
pew,
they busted through my left armor and blew up the ammo for my weapon. Now my pilot's hurt, and really unluckily I'm in a bad situation.
Yeah, that's
now.
really the fun of Battletech is those simulatory things where it's like, all right, well, I got knocked over and now I'm falling down the hill and I took damage in this specific part and that part had ammo in it and there's a chance the ammo explodes. It did. All right, that ammo exploded. How much damage does it do? This much. What happens now? Well, it damaged your gyro. It's going to be hard to stand up. Everything just sort of makes sense in a common sense way without having to have this sort of like esoteric military knowledge you would have to like, you know, have those Grognard war games, which also make sense.
Yep.
Right? This just makes sense because you understand a giant robot.
So I've always enjoyed it, but I don't have time to play that kind of game anymore.
Or space.
I don't have space. I don't have time. And
People.
before you say like Mech War, whatever those, all the not official or like
Mega Mech.
those things are intolerable.
Right, there are software versions of the tabletop game.
They were intolerable
are-
back when I could tolerate pretty intolerable software.
that are free, open source-ish, and their user interfaces are so bad, they're not even worth attempting.
Even when I had infinite time, they were not worth pursuing.
Nope.
So, Battletech got kickstarted.
Right, so actually, I first discovered this at a PAX. I was walking around, and there was a booth, and the booth was like Battletech, and I'm like, well, this is not the Catalyst booth, which Catalyst, if you don't know, is the company that currently licenses and publishes, I don't know if they own, but they currently publish the pen and paper, miniatures, books, and stuff for Battletech Tabletop.
Yep.
And it was not the Catalyst booth, but it was a Battletech booth. And I said, what is this? And they said, we are making a Battletech video game that is the turn-based, pen and paper, miniature Battletech, only a video game. And I said, shut up and take my monies. And then I went home and I kickstarted it because it was up.
Yep.
And then I checked with them at another PAX and also played the beta because I kickstarted it at a level where it let me play the beta. And I was so surprised. It was legit. Like, they were actually developing this game. It wasn't some scam. They were actually making this thing. It was real. They were making significant progress very rapidly.
And more importantly, they made it right because playing the beta, what you saw was mechs walk and they torso twist.
Walking and shooting and whatnot.
Torso twist is key.
Anyway, so now, just recently, like a week or two ago-ish, I don't know, the game has been fully released. You can now buy, whether you kickstarted it or not. I just got it because I already kickstarted it.
Yep.
You can just go on Steam and buy this fucking game. It is out, and a lot of people are playing it. And
It's pretty great.
Let's talk about it.
All right. So first things first, there are two. I want to get these out of the way because they're kind of topical, like news-wise. There are two quote-unquote controversies about the game already.
There's a lot of. It's weird. It's like there's a lot of controversies, but they're all
Well,
sort of
there's
minor. It's like there's a lot of minor controversies and no major ones.
There are two that I think are relevant and newsworthy-ish. One of them, which the people who are complaining about it are wrong, in my opinion, and just don't understand humans or games. But their argument is that the game shows some two-hit percentages.
Uh-huh.
And someone proved that the actual two-hit percentages are narrower than that. Like the numbers they show are slightly fabricated, and they actually groom the random number generator to effectively avoid streaks a little bit. And
Wouldn't it just be 2d6?
It's not just 2d6.
Why is it not just 2d6?
So you didn't see this controversy.
I did see someone saying that the percentages shown were inaccurate.
They're slightly off.
I did not read the actual numbers in math.
Yeah, the deal, here's the real deal in my semi-professional opinion on this particular issue. This happens a lot in games because it turns out if you tell a human they have an N% chance to hit something, humans are so bad at math and so bad at statistics and so bad at patterns in this type of environment that if you say an 80% chance to hit and you actually hit 80% of the time, they will perceive the 20% of the time they miss as bullshit. They will perceive that the numbers are way off, even though the numbers are perfectly accurate.
It is bullshit, but that's Battletech.
Yeah, no, but it's not the right kind of bullshit. All I'm saying is that when game companies fudge those kinds of numbers, they're doing it because your brain is dumb and they are tricking your brain. And as long as you don't try to peel back that onion, you'll enjoy games a lot more.
Mm-hmm. You're saying ignorance is bliss.
In this particular case, yes, and also it's such a this is not an esport.
But I'm playing to win.
Yeah, so play to win.
How is it not an esport?
This is not yet a major esport where it matters. And if it came to pass,
I'm going to be Battletech World Champion. Watch out.
Based on our history together, there is no chance you will ever be the Battletech champion.
Why not?
18 small lasers and no rear armor.
That's just what I like. If I have to win and the championship is on the line, it's just an LRM boat.
Yeah.
I got an LRM boat and an SRM boat.
I was always a fan of
Daddy
mechs.
2 boat.
I've always been a fan of mechs with no rear armor. Like 0 rear armor.
Good luck against my jump jet and then you're dead.
Oh, I'm already backed into a cliff. You can't touch me.
I can just go up on top of the mountain with my jump jet.
Anyway, but the other controversy I'm making the hardest quotes ever, is that shitheads and Gomergators are really mad at this game because it has female, male, and gender-neutral pronouns.
All right.
They are the internet shitstorm around that is actually pretty big, and
I didn't see any of that, but okay.
It's all shitty people.
Anyway, well, they
And
don't have to play BattleTech. Good,
They're
get
trying
out.
to mass boycott the game, which is great because
Good.
Those,
That means no shitty people will be playing BattleTech.
Yep.
Well, only if someone plays BattleTech, that means they good.
But if you see anyone complaining about that at all, and like if you see
There is one
tangentially-
thing about that does bother me is
Uh-huh.
that if you go and it's the character creation screen, right?
Yep.
Is if you choose he as your pronoun,
Yep.
you get all these photos to choose from that are stereotypically looking like dudes.
If you click enough, you also get female-looking ones. Like it didn't.
No, if you choose she, you get different ones. And
Yep.
if you choose they, you get all of them.
Ah.
So it's like, why can't I choose the she-looking one with
I felt
the he
like you
pronoun?
could. I just had
No,
to click around.
Basically, if you choose he or she, you get half as many. You get half of the choices for your image. And if you choose they, you can choose any image you want. They should have just allowed all images for all pronouns.
But if you see anyone complaining about these options, like for real, those people are basically just Gomer Gators, and they're mad that Dave's in there.
I thought the thing you were going to bring up was that the game, if you play single player, which is what you're playing probably,
Yep.
is that there's a lot of slowness and time losing in this game. There are slow animations. There are slow things you got to watch. You got to watch FMVs. It's all this stuff in the game is very time consuming, and waiting happens for no reason. And the game could be sped up a lot. And the example I always bring up when people say, "Oh no, you can't speed it up," is even Pokemon lets you speed it up. The children's game lets you turn off animations and do fast text.
Yep.
So there is no reason that any adult game, including you, Hearthstone, shouldn't allow you to turn off animations and speed everything up to just let you play without any visual cruff. None of this camera zooming in. You can turn off some of it in the options menu, and you can do other things by editing some files and stuff. But it's like, just let me play the BattleTech without any of this garbage, like zooming in and watching missiles fire. It's like, no, I want to click fire and just see a number of how much damage was done.
So counterpoint, I actually very much enjoy the slow ramp. I actually, in this game, partly because BattleTech, I actually really enjoy the slow animation you get.
I enjoyed it one
sometimes.
time, and then I want to turn it off.
But I keep enjoying it because it adds this interesting bit of tension. It simulates for me.
I don't got time for that. I want to hurry up.
No, I agree with you. The option should be there. But part of the appeal I had of original classic pen and paper BattleTech was Pete shoots 1,000 SRMs at me because that's what Pete liked to do. I then have to sit here and listen as he rolls 2d6 while Alex or you are looking in a book and say, right center torso.
Oh, that would be fine if it like fired each weapon individually.
But
and
I get that experience in the animation.
It just makes a slow animation of the thing. It's
because
not
the animation,
same.
like I see the missiles come in, and they actually they'll veer off before they hit, and you get that oh, they're gonna miss, and a few of them hit. Or you see the PPC fight. The PPC scare me the most because you get no indications.
Well,
no
this is
lead
inner
time.
sphere garbage, so PPC is like the best weapon you can get. Except
Yeah,
for
it is
LRM.
it is inner sphere garbage, but give them time. It's like when Civ 5 first
I
came
don't know
out.
why people hate clan stuff so much.
Clan
it's like,
stuff is bullshit.
Why?
It's OP and not fun.
What if everyone just is clan stuff? What's the difference?
That's the same as playing Dungeons and Dragons versus PvP with 2 level 20 characters.
What's wrong with that?
It ain't fun.
How was that any less fun than fighting level 1 characters?
It's a lot different and a lot less fun.
Why?
Have you ever done it?
What's the difference between heavyweight boxing and featherweight boxing?
Featherweight boxing's actually way more fun to watch.
Well, who says?
Me?
All right. Well, I don't think this. I mean, they're both equally. They're different, but I think they're
Scott,
equally exciting.
there's a reason
and equally
why
fun.
in our group, no one ever. You were the only one who wanted clan ever.
Why not?
None of us wanted clan.
I like heavyweight boxing. Just it's obviously different, but it's like I like it just as much.
Because most of the clan stuff was
the only thing that's
basically-
bullshit is Inner Sphere versus Clan. That's obviously stupid.
Yeah, clan versus clan has a time and place.
I'm not asking for Inner Sphere versus Clan. That's dumb. I just want to see Clan versus Clan.
Yeah.
Let me get my Arrow 4 and my Ultra ACs and whatnot.
4 Gauss rifles.
My, triple strength Myamers and,
I thought triple strength wasn't clan. That was
ER,
just like,
PPCs.
wasn't that just advanced inner sphere?
I don't know.
The triple
Whatever.
strength
Targeting computers. All
Yeah.
the good stuff.
I saw some screenshots of like gyros and stuff in this game. I think you can get that in the campaign.
Maybe.
Anyway, I have not played the game enough yet. Like I like it.
Yeah, I have not played it enough.
I played it a lot, but I haven't played it enough.
Right. So here's the thing: is like the game, like on the one hand, is so good in that yes, it is tabletop BattleTech. You take your turns, you move your mechs, you shoot. You know, if you, it's the fundamental concepts are all the same. You take damage to areas, right? Areas, your arm falls off. You can walk up to someone and melee them. You can step on a vehicle and it just gets destroyed.
The fact that DFA is there,
you can DFA real easy, like you know, all the weapons, you know, work the same. You can have someone spot for your LRM fire. You can. You know, you get a cover if you're in the woods.
In fact, my only complaint about the game, my only like mechanical complaint about this game is that they implemented this hardpoint system in mech customization.
Oh, that I don't like. Yeah.
That is actually...
There are many things that they've changed from the actual tabletop rules, but a lot of the things they've changed are functionally equivalent or similar enough. For like the exact roles and math for like falling over aren't exactly the same, but it's effectively the same kind of thing where it's like, yeah, if you moved a lot and then you get bumped a lot, then your odds of falling over increase and then you fall over. You know,
or you've moved a lot so you're harder to hit. If
you're in the woods, it's harder to hit you. It's harder to hit things.
And the game does a really good job of really streamlining the heuristics and indicators and artifacts around that. So like, the further your guy moves, and depending on the things that happen, it'll show these little chevrons that show how much evasion you accumulated.
Yeah, it's
a really intuitive system.
Right, there's not just piloting skill and gunning skill, which used to be just like 2 numbers. It's now like 4 different stats that like grit and something else, and like you can you level up your characters and to like get different.
You never
abilities.
played BattleTech as a campaign, though.
No, that's Mech Warrior.
Yeah,
the RPG has some of that stuff. But BattleTech as a campaign is basically just playing the BattleTech tabletop game that we played, but linking the missions together and having money.
Now, the other thing that is missing
and having a story
is there's a deeper level of fiddly mech customization that is not present, and that is the things like, what engine did you put in the mech?
Right, so they only allow customizing the mech to the way that Mech Warrior 2 allowed customizing the mech, but actually even more restrictive, because what they've done is, like Rim was saying, they have these hard points. So usually in Mech Warrior 2 or in BattleTech on pen and paper, you have these slots on the mech. You have a lot of them, and you can put whatever you want in there that you can fit without running out of slots or running out of weight. In this one, the mechs have these hard points. So it's like, okay, on this mech, the left torso can hold 1 missile weapon, and the right torso can hold 2 ballistic weapons, and the arms can hold 2 lasers each. Or each mech has like a different loadout.
Now, I wouldn't even be that butter about it if there were mechs that had a lot of hard points, or it was just
the mechs have so few hard points, you basically cannot customize much at all. You just need to get a different mech.
Yep.
Also, the way the game is structured, which is a truth of BattleTech, but they tried to. I think the hard points were an attempt to solve this problem, but didn't solve it. Is that it's just better to field heavier mechs. Yeah, you're better off just putting the 4 heaviest mechs you can out in the field, loaded with the most stuff.
Yep,
and the LRMs are just better.
Like 180-ton mech can kick the shit out of 250 or 60-ton mechs usually.
Yeah, I mean in BattleTech, the pen and paper game without the hard points, it's like it's true. Every 100-ton mech may as well be the same as every other 100-ton mech. But
I could make a 30-ton mech that was really fucking dangerous in the right circumstances.
Sure, you look at your mission situation, you make the right kind of deal.
But that's it. This is where in the campaign, different tonnages have interesting uses, and I actually feel like a light mech that I set up to be a scout, and I've done things. But in multiplayer, which is my main interest in this BattleTech game, there isn't yet like a scenario builder, so it just comes down to what's the tonnage we're gonna play with, and we both field lances of appropriate tonnage.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't make a scenario. There's no like customizer there yet, which in multiplayer can lead to a problem where, and when Scott and I played for the first time, the same thing that used to happen in our old BattleTech days happened. We both set up our mechs in an optimal ambush position, and then dickered around for like 20 minutes, and neither one of us would commit our forces anywhere. Till eventually we were just both like, fuck it, let's just play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to build scenarios. I want to be able to build like, or at least have scenarios that are more interesting for multiplayer.
So the thing is, this game, for all its, hey, I can now play a video game, but it's BattleTech, the turn-based game, hooray, has lots and lots of these tiny issues that you can see complained about on the subreddit for this game and many other places.
But what I would analogize this to, actually, is when Civ 5 first came out, it was real fun for like a month, and then it was tapped out and had a similar breadth of problems.
Yeah, so this has tons and tons of tiny issues. For example, today, the one I saw most recently, there was a mech standing on top of a building. Somebody decided, hey, let me destroy this building, and they destroyed it. The mech was then floating in air, and then the mech was then standing on the ground perfectly fine. In pen and paper Battletech, you take falling damage, which is severe as fuck, and holy shit. But in this video game, it was just like, boop, nothing
Someone
happens.
pointed out in the campaign, they moved a mech into a spot, and then an event happened, and they were hosed. They just couldn't continue.
Yep,
So there's little bugs.
There were some there's some missions where vehicles go too fast. There's some missions where you go in and there's just a million enemies that are super strong, and it's like fuck you, so you might as well just run away. There's tons of I could go on and on. There's just the user interface problems where you're trying to click on a thing, but actually you moved your mech by accident.
Yep. It's hard to get the angle of my view just right sometimes.
Yeah, the camera is not the greatest. Also, on a lot of the maps, everything is dark and it's hard to see what's going on. The mechs don't look distinct enough because they're sort of blending into the background. They're so it's hard to even see.
But I just want to be clear, the game's still real fun, and as a 1.0, like a released game, if they're able to invest in this game,
I mean, the fact the game actually launched, kickstarting games is usually it's just they run away with your fucking money.
If this game gets DLC over time, even
clan DLC,
expensive DLC, even
free clan DLC,
even just
for Sky,
I'm talking the Civilization levels of DLC, I would buy it all.
Yeah, I mean, the thing
DLC that adds the advanced tech so I can have my Gauss rifle.
Yeah, my main problem is I played the single player and the campaign. There's lots of stuff where you gotta manage the mechs in the mech bay.
It's real fun because it evokes old XCOM.
Well, it's for Mech Warrior Mercenaries where
Yeah.
you're managing your money and your
I really
salvage.
enjoy that because shit sucks. Your things are always broken down. Everyone's always hurt. You're
But
barely
the thing is,
scraping
there's a
by.
lot of fiddly issues. I'm trying to allocate tons of armor on my mech, and it's 49.77, and it won't let me make it exactly 50. And then I go to start a mission, and it's warning, you're not using all the tonnage on your mech. And I'm like, whose fucking fault is that? 49.99 ton asshole.
Granted,
right?
making mechs repeatedly on pen and paper had similar issues.
I never had an issue of 0.01 tons missing.
But I had issues of little fiddly details like that. But usually
Anyway.
we just ignored them, so it didn't matter.
But yeah, there's problems. You go to repair a mech, and it costs more on if you do it from one screen than the other screen, and then you gotta, then you gotta wait, for the mech to actually repair instead of just
Well, see, that's it.
fast-forwarding.
There's definitely some problems now in the economy of how long
On the one screen, it's how much is the salvage worth? Oh, 3 million space bucks. And then you go to the screen to sell it. It's you can't sell it. And then it's it's not actually worth jack shit. It's what the hell?
Well, because you got to finish it. It's not stable.
Why can't I sell it if a piece of a mech is worth that much? And then when I do finish it, the full mech is worth less than it said the part was worth. And they got this reputation system that's confusing.
But also it's sparse in that it's fun, but you do end up just hitting play and letting 40 days go by because you're waiting for all your mechs to repair and stuff
why would I do the next mission before my mechs are repaired?
Yep. So the economy of action in the single player campaign type game.
Everyone their starting scout dies. So I'm my starting scout guy didn't die.
No one died.
I go to the subreddit and everyone's Decker, he always dies. Oh, he's
I don't know how they could have him die. I blew through that mission.
and then I immediately do. Well, no, I mean he's your scouting guy for the whole you know, for the beginning of the game. You just keep him around, right? And then the next mission I did, he was perfect health. He hadn't been hit yet. A mech just walks over to him, comes out of the fog, and fires a million, and he dies instantly.
But that is Battletech.
Right, but then I loaded the game, so he didn't die.
No.
But everyone else is this guy keeps dying.
I'm playing hardcore in all consequences. I never back out of a fight.
Why not load a save game?
Why?
Oh, also, if you have too many save games, the game starts to slow down. You have to delete your save games. So basically, I played the single player until I was some of the missions are so samey after a while.
But that's where I feel
I don't care about the plot enough to see the rest of it. I can watch it on YouTube. So now I'm pretty much just only waiting for people who want to play multiplayer.
But I feel
and
that's
ignoring
where the
single
sweet
player.
spot's going to be. Kind of like Civ 5. The sweet spot is multiplayer until there's a DLC that adds something to the game. And as long as they do continue to invest in this game and release content and improve it, then there will definitely be a cycle of play the game with people in multiplayer. It starts to get tapped out. Some content comes in. We jump back on the single player train.
Well,
we
you know,
jump back
whenever
on
we're in
the
a
multiplayer
BattleTech
train.
mood, we can actually play BattleTech now without having to bust
So
out
I would say,
cardboard.
if you are in the situation we are in where you have fond memories of old pen and paper BattleTech but don't have time to play it, buy this game. Even if you only play the campaign and play it multiplayer a few times, it'll scratch that itch
If
real
you're
hard.
expecting the exact same rules, this is not that. For example, you know, like
I never 100% knew the rules back then anyway.
I know the rules, but
100%?
for example, the biggest rule change is that in pen and paper BattleTech, right? Everyone moves, then everyone shoots, and you all shoot simultaneously. So if I get a headshot on Rim, he still might get a headshot on me before he dies, right? Whereas in this initiative is more like XCOM. So the fast mechs go first, unless they delay, and then the next mechs go, and they move, shoot, which is more what you're used to in a turn-based strategy video game, right? Like Advance Wars, move, shoot, right? So in that sense, you could just like destroy a mech before it even gets a chance to do anything if you get lucky, right?
Yeah.
Which is not the same.
But you go with that on purpose. You set up strategies around a scout.
It's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you're expecting it to be exactly the same, it is not. It is just the same feel and mostly the same.
But I would also say, if you're going to get into it for the multiplayer, get in on it now, because our crew, the Front Row crew in GeekNights forums, we're going to try to get a bunch of multiplayer going as long as the iron is hot.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is that like there's all these PC games now. It's still PC game season. Yet the game I still play the most is Slay the Spire, especially since it got a new character. And it's like I played the what was the other one? Into the Breach, like for a day.
I really liked Into the Breach.
I liked it so much. It's nothing wrong with it. But then I played BattleTech for like a few days.
But Slay the Spire just scratches
I
this
just play
itch.
Slay the Spire every day. I still play Slay the Spire
But
every day.
At least for now, I play this almost like this scratches a really profound itch, and I'm playing it a lot.
I just don't play it every day. I just play it,
But I feel like once I get doing multiplayer with our friends in the
It's
Discord,
like if I already played Slay the Spire that day and I'm bored and I got nothing to do, then I open BattleTech.
so this weekend I'll be in Toronto, but like within a week or two, we're gonna schedule some multiplayer games on the Discord.
If
with
anyone
this.
wants to play multiplayer BattleTech, and if I'm on Steam, just like message me or whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna make a forum thread about that specifically. Cause so the only people I would say don't buy this game, if you don't like
turn-based strategy.
turn-based fiddly strategy games.
It's not the most fiddly, but it's
pretty
slightly,
fiddly.
It's slightly fiddly. It's in the sweet spot between where it's so fiddly you can't even deal, like Europa Universalis. Not even close to that.
Nope.
It's less fiddly even than Civilization, but it is more fiddly than Advance Wars.
All right, I think we're done. That was a pretty good review. Oh, there's like 18 people watching.
Why are so many people?
There's a lot of chat in here.
What's wrong with you?
People like BattleTech. What do you want? All right, I gotta go run and eat some food.